Oi, oi, alright, how's it going? I'm Grant, you're you, and this is Doodle Review, the channel that's willing to talk about any genre from bounce music to neo, carnival, swing, black metal to the Berlin School of Electronic Synthesis. But today though, we're talking about Wilco. Cousin is actually my first ever Wilco album, but it's their 13th after a nearly 30-year career. Having forever heard of the importance of the band's 2002 record Yankee Hotel Foxtrot, and with that album cover featuring the towers of Chicago's Marina City complex leaving an indelible mark on my brain, I always knew I would have to jump into their discography at some point. As an entry point or gateway record, Cousin seems like potentially an awkward one. If we were to continue with that gate analogy, I'd say this is one of those gates you come across where the wood is a little swollen and stiff in its frame, and the hinges are kind of rusted and the hedges are grown over the entry point. You know, you can get through, but not without a little effort on your part. One thing the record does very effectively is summon a consistent vibe. Almost every song here sounds like being pressed up against a window on a rainy day. It has that romantic sadness when you're mourning the loss of, half of a day's possibilities that have been washed away with the rainfall, even though you're actually quite relieved to not have to leave the house. On album opener, Infinite Surprise, that slightly reverbed metronomic rim shot and consistent downstroke guitar impress upon you that feeling of the passage of time, and this sets the backdrop as slower melancholic instrumental parts bloom over the top. The same feeling is achieved later on the album with Pittsburgh, where the closeness in the recording of the guitar really captures the thoughts whispered to oneself after too much time indoors alone. Both of these songs have great qualities to them, but I feel in both cases, as I do with a lot of other tracks on the project, that despite having moments that touch upon a climax, the distorted, staticky, horn-sounding guitars in Infinite Surprise, or the blossoming electric guitar riffs on Pittsburgh, for instance, while these get close to a climax, they also kind of just retreat or backtrack from these high points, which rarely ends up leading to a satisfying conclusion. Don't get me wrong, I know Wilco isn't the band to shred or sell out a song to jump to a butt rock payoff, but the brief glimpses of their music I have heard in the past, both Impossible Germany and Spiders, which were used in the TV show The Bear, those glimpses demonstrated truly thrilling progressions to their tracks that I just didn't find often on Cousin. And I guess you would put these criticisms somewhat in the arrangement category. But while that doesn't grab me, I do really like the production. Marking apparently a rarity for Wilco, Cousin was produced by an external party, and in this case, folk rock pop artist Kate Le Bon. And I'm a fan of Le Bon's work. Her 22 record in particular, Pompeii, really grabbed me with its station-to-station Bowie or the idiot Iggy Pop leaning sounds. I hear some of that influence and just more generally Le Bon's kind of sonic fingerprints on our record as a whole, which does make it a treat to hear. There is a robotic, almost krautrock vibe to the performance on the title track Cousin, and the often muffled and restrained drum sounds in particular on the album do so much of the heavy lifting in terms of building that kind of rainy day vibe. While I find a lot of the record too much of a tease, drawing me in with the vibe and foundations of the songwriting but rarely paying off, there are a couple of clear standouts. Levy has a beautifully satisfying drum intro with a chorus that is low-key but effective. When listening to the record, I'd often mark this as what felt like actually the starting point, just because it had way more direction and progression than the previous songs. Meant to Be is without doubt the best on the album. It has a riff that is both simple and searching and kind of loose in its performance, but really, really cathartic. It's definitely an example of all of the traits of this album at its very best. Based on those highlights and the moments scattered throughout that I love, I can see why Wilco are a beloved band. For me, this album is just a bit subdued for its own good, and I'd probably give it about 5 out of 10. Thanks for listening to me chat fraff about the record though. As I say, nothing in this world is free, so you know what, you've got to pay the price after listening to that. You just got to subscribe or write a comment below telling me how much you hate me, how much you hate the review, or whether you think I got it on point. Basically, show some love, share some thoughts, or hurl some abuse in the comments below. There will be some other videos you will like in the link to the description below. So check those out. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Okay, mate, cheers then. Bye.